Hey, thank you so much, man. I appreciate this. This is cool. I really
No,
enjoy
but I
this.
got this idea because for people tuning in, like you and I had this great conversation last week. We're working on the story for
Yeah,
tobacco business,
right.
and it was a great like 2 hour conversation. So it was it was like a long, and we just like talked about a little bit of everything. And I
It
got
was
this idea that hey, I was like, so many retailers are out there, and they want to hear from other retailers too, but the manufacturers want to hear from the retailers, and yet retailers don't always get to tell you know their story or get to speak.
absolutely.
So I
Hey,
was like,
but
why not just take a whole week to speak to some cool retailers that I've
oh
been
man,
met.
thank you. Very honored, man. Thank you so much. But all the stuff that you're doing with the manufacturers and the owners, it's really good stuff, man. I mean, obviously in this time of COVID-19, it's just weird the way it is anyway. So, you jumping on it as early as you did and doing what you do, it's really cool. So I dig it and very humbled and honored to be on this with you. So thanks
Oh
for
no
choosing us. Thank you.
problem. Yeah. So what have you been up to since last week?
Mm.
Has anything
So
changed?
uh, it's weird because we don't know really what's going on, and it keeps getting in this delayed mode. So we're still doing what we can as far as staying operational. I don't think the idea of closing down is a good idea. So
Right.
if you are a retailer, that I think the best thing we can do right now is just do curbside, do something just to keep the momentum going. That way there's no traction loss, but I still think we have to be out there being open because a complete shutdown would kind of devastate people. And I know there's some states that are probably hurting from that. So I think the best thing for us to do is stay open and do what we can. And then unfortunately, it's whether it's curbside, mail order, and of course Georgia, that's tough to do because I mean, it's we got a high tobacco tax out here, but you know the loyal customers, the people that do enjoy your shop will still support it. And we rolled out that thing with Room 101 in La
Mm-hmm.
Polina, and we did really well with that, and people wanted to support us. So whatever we can do this whole week, we've been thinking, all right, what's our next step? What's something we can
Right.
add or go from? But and doing something like this is even great too, because all our guys are like, oh man, what time is it going to be? I'm like, I think 4 o'clock, man. So, but this is great. So nothing changed a whole lot. We're just trying to think of our next step and how to adjust accordingly, I guess. We're just, we want to stay open really. So
And has your state given any indication when things might let up a little bit? I know we won't get back to normal anytime
right,
soon, really, probably, but there
right.
has to be a new normal that we, at some point, are going to have to just jump into, at some point.
It's true. There's going to have to be a new normal because it's going to have to go back open. We're going to have to open back up small business, period. So the governor, I think, is going to speak next week and let us know, and each state's determined. I don't know what you guys I mean, what are you guys doing up there in North Carolina? Have they said anything about you guys or?
They have been basically they're looking at states around us, what they're doing.
Okay.
They're still trying to flatten the curve, as they say.
Okay.
I mean, it's going. They said the social distancing and all that seems to be helping a lot.
Right.
So really, it's just a matter of testing. I think they said. So,
Right.
I mean, they frankly said that it probably wouldn't be until like next year when a vaccine is really like there and created. So they're like, we have to
Ugh,
have some
man.
type of testing basically involved so that we just don't open the floodgates and we're basically back like we are now. So it's kind
Square
of erring
one.
on
Right.
the side of caution,
Okay.
but hopefully letting businesses get back to some, like I said, some type of normal, whatever that is. But I know.
Yeah, that's the tough part because it's like you just touched on it. What's going to be the new normal? Because, you know, I'm a big handshaker. So right now, obviously, we're doing all sorts of weird stuff right now. So when we get back to a somewhat normal, there's going to be a different consumer interaction there because everyone's conscious about
Right.
everything. So, I don't know, fist bumps and all that. So that's probably going to be something we're going to have to get used to and just see how it plays out. I really don't have an answer for that because I don't think we really know. I think everyone's ready to get out of the house. I know that much because I mean, my people are blowing me up left and right. Like, hey, what about today? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. Let me just give us a little time. Bear with us. So we're doing all right though. So we're, still selling, just, we just can't hang out like we normally do.
Yeah.
So,
But that's why things like this are important, because I know for the retailers too, I mean, like you said, interaction and getting to see your customers day to day, I mean, is how you keep that business going. So
absolutely.
having to put a stop on it is just it's probably been a big adjustment for you.
It is, and we've done the Facebook live thing a few times, and we'll put in like 5 or 6 guys, and we're all smoking outside in our backyards, and just trying to keep up with each other, because obviously you still want to keep in contact with everybody as much as you can, because it is valuable to do that, and it's not so they're not like lost and forgotten. And plus it's fun because we don't normally do this. Like this, to me, I feel like, I wish you were here so we could talk like this, but
Right.
this is different. So it's like an adjustment, but it's fun in a way, but it's still nice to have that interaction, sitting next to somebody and talking with them. So, but
what I wanted to do was to have you tell some of your story. And like I said, and this is kind of a teaser to like a bigger story that we have working on for tobacco business. So unfortunately,
right.
but we can cover a lot of ground in, I think, in the time that we have today. So
Okay.
what I wanted you to do is just tell us a little bit about who you are, where you are, and what your story is.
Okay. For those who know me, probably most of you know me as Corey. I go by Corinto now, is my birth name, and I just when I hit 40 years old, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go by Corinto from now on. I grew up in Pasadena, California. We moved out to Georgia in '95, and about that time, getting back in school, we were actually headed to North Carolina. My aunt lives in Wrightsville, North Carolina.
Okay.
And when we were headed that way, we stopped in Georgia, and it was time to start school. So we got planted in Georgia. And then after that, I went to art college. I know she went to art college too. Is that correct? And
yeah.
Okay, cool. So after that, my dad always taught me, make sure you have a backup plan. So make sure you got a trade or something else you want to do just in case. And my dad's the wisest man I know for sure. And thank God I've had him in my life. So I did pick up electrical when I was 15 and started doing that ever since then. And the .com crash happened in 2000. So I was working for a creative company called Primal Screen in Atlanta. We were actually doing stuff for like Powerpuff Girls and things like that. So I was an in-between artist at the time, and the .com just killed everything. So that's when I fell back into doing electrical work. So became doing electrical work and was doing that, became a service tech, and I ran across somebody that needed help wiring a cigar shop. So at this point I was like, oh, okay, cool. And dabbled on it a little bit, not much. I won't go too far into that. So I wired the cigar shop for him. And after that, I started, he asked me if I want to work there part-time. And I was like, this is actually kind of a cool environment, because once you sit in the shop and see how it lives and breathes, and the people, the different personalities, it's kind of addictive. So you're like, all right, let's try that out. So at that point, I started working at one part-time and then bounced between 2 different shops. So that was kind of fun, where I started to get a little more into it and started really enjoying cigars at that time. It wasn't my first cigar, but I was diving into it really good and just really liked everything that was going on. Now at that point, when fast forward, this guy goes out of business, people were telling me, because, hey man, why don't you go do your own shop? Now at this point, I'm sitting there going, do my own cigar shop, really? So I thought about it and kind of played with the idea a little bit. I wasn't sure what kind of direction I was going to go with that, but I knew I really enjoyed it. And I was doing some electrical work at a tanning salon adjacent from the other cigar shop that shut down. And that's where I met my business partner, Ann Strickland.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, hey, why don't you do this? And we became really best friends. And we actually started looking around to see what we can do. And we stayed in the same town because we already kind of established my name out here a little bit. And we found a cool log cabin. Oh, it's got a great atmosphere. We didn't even know it was available. So dove into it. And we just took the risk. We went for it, not really knowing. It was just a matter of just doing something. It was all right. Let me dive into it and see what happens. Now we're all in, but that was a start in 2014 with Boss Cigars, and then we've grown each year from then and gotten to where we are, where we're getting interviewed by you. So this is really cool. I mean, that's kind of the short story of it, but that's kind of where we started and got going with Boss Cigars.
And what I like about your store in particular is that you have a lot of the brand names that we might recognize and all that kind of stuff, but you also give a lot of boutique companies a shot. And
Absolutely.
Not every company wants that, because you have your different theories. You have some theories that say, I need a brand name because I need people to come in there and buy it.
Right.
And then you have your other ones that say, well, the boutiques is something new. It's something that not every store around the corner is going to have. So I need those boutiques to build that basically that uniqueness for my store. So what's your approach to picking the cigars that you have in Boss?
Absolutely. So it was interesting when we first started in 2014. I had a list of everything that we carried, and it was a lot of the bigger brands, a lot of the older brands, and then there was maybe a few boutiques in there. So at that point, we started transitioning because people were coming in saying, hey, you want to try this cigar? And at that point, I didn't really know. So some of it was just kind of guessing, but it's obviously not based off of my flavor profile because we were just putting cigars in our shop. So once that evolved, our humidor started transitioning as far as more into a boutique. Now we definitely carry your big brands because, like you said, they do sell and people do want those brands. I still feel it's a retailer's job to provide more. And I feel you can still have the big brands and not have a lot of it. Pick the ones that sell good and then swap out some other ones, because I feel the variety of life is what it's about. So as we started bringing in more boutiques, we were sampling them. And basically when I figure out a boutique we want to bring in, it's a matter of, all right, let me try some samples, see if there's some traction on them, because social media is so big right now, as you know. So if they're in Cigar Press, Tobacco Business Magazine, Aficionado, which is, I don't know if they put too much in boutiques, they sway a little bit, but you start paying attention to that and that social media trend, then you reach out to them and then try. So at this point, if I try that cigar that's new, it's a matter of, all right, does this taste like something that I sell a lot of, or is it similar to something else that we do carry, that we do sell? And that's our mentality as far as bringing in a new brand. Sometimes it's like, all right, I think this will work because of the brand logo itself and how it is. So we'll try a lot of boutiques, but typically we're reading on them and smoking them to make sure that they fit right, And sometimes we don't know if it's going to fit, and some take off more than others, but all the guys and girls that come in, they like the selection that we carry. So it was weird when, like I said, when we first started from 2014 to where we're at now, because I did not think we would be as boutique heavy. And I love boutiques. I love the art of it. I love what everyone's doing. So it's exciting to me, and I'm glad that our clientele likes that too. So it excites me, it excites them, and we all get excited about it. So now, that's what makes it fun.
In terms of your relationship with the manufacturers, when you think about some of your best partners, let's just focus on the good.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you look at some of your best partners, like what are they doing on a regular basis, basically to help you as a retailer? Because I know sometimes we feel like, you get a product and then it's just like, sell it.
It's true.
For some retailers, but some manufacturers do a little bit more. They go beyond that. So what are some of your best manufacturer partners kind of doing to help you get that product off the shelf? Because you're not buying the product to display on the shelf. You're buying it to get off the shelf so you can make more money, so you can replace it with either that same product or something better. So what are they doing?
So the ones that are moving a little better are the ones that keep in touch with us too. So they reach out to us on a constant basis. It's not like you said, we're just a number in your portfolio, or somebody in your line where it's just like, oh, here you are. Yeah, let me know when you need something. And the brands that are reaching out to us a little bit more, it's almost like if I feel a little love, I don't mind giving a little bit more love kind of thing. So it's a working relationship. So they keep in touch with me a little bit more, and it's the owners and the reps too, because I've got some really good ones out there. So when they're reaching out to me, it's almost like out of sight, out of mind. But when they're constantly, hey man, how's it going? How's the product? And be honest with you, there are some boutique guys out there. I won't go into the whole list because there's so many of them. They'll actually help me out as far as swapping out product too. So if they obviously want to sell cigars, the last thing we want to do is load me up and have that sit, because obviously, like you said, I'm not making money, you're not making money, I'm not reordering. So
Right.
we all need to be in a constant revolving. There's one boutique that we brought in, and I just don't want to mention names, but he had a really fantastic Connecticut cigar. And his other ones were pretty good, and I brought him in and we tried him out, but his Connecticut kept blowing off the shelf. And I said, man, this is one of the best ones in the market. So we kept rolling with it, and he kept in touch with me, but he kept saying, hey, what about the Habano, the Maduro? I was like, yeah, maybe not right now, because this Connecticut is really working. It's a real good one. So we got into a point where we just kept the revolving door with that. And then occasionally I'd bring it back in to just kind of test the waters, because I do believe in alternating product too, because you can carry a big brand or a small brand, and you don't have to carry everything, because, we all have different size humidors. Ours isn't the largest, but we do have a lot of selection there. So if you alternate, say the Habano doesn't do good for a couple months, we'll put that Maduro in there, because if you're a full-bodied shop, you might want to try it out. And then if it loses a little traction, throw that Habano back in there, because then people might, oh man, this is new or something exciting. And really, you just haven't had it in a while. So there's a delicate balance when it comes to that. But to answer the question, it's the relationship they give back to us, and they're constantly on feedback with us too. So, and I keep in touch with them big time. I'm always calling or text. I text a lot, so I do believe in keeping up with those guys and girls.
So it's like a two-way relationship. Like, you have to do your part too. You can't just expect them to, sitting there going, oh, I wonder what Corey's doing today. So you have to kind of keep that dialogue going on your end too, which is maybe what some retailers don't really think about.
I think you're right. I think you do have to keep that door revolving, because if you don't, that's where, if you put a product in there and it doesn't sell, it's the first thing you probably need to ask yourself is, am I selling it? Because you have to sell that product, especially if it's a boutique. There's a lot of people, even though social media is prevalent right now, there's still a lot of people that may not know about it. So it's our job to walk in there with them in the humidor when they come in, greet them, walk in the humidor. And there is a lot of people, we're in this new phase of what's new. So we do get excited about that. I know a lot of manufacturers are like, oh, it's always about what's new. Not saying they have to create everything new every year, but that goes back to alternating your product. Still, people need to understand what you got in there, because if they don't, just wandering around the humidor, they might not pick it up. So you need to be very proactive in going in the humidor with your customers to help push or show what's in there. And a lot of boutiques, I think, when it comes to certain shops, that's probably why they don't do well with them, is they're not putting these in people's hands. If somebody comes in and they like a certain cigar, like, hey, try this out, So you definitely have to be hands-on with people for sure. Otherwise, it will sit.
And what about your relationship with different trade organizations? Because I don't think, when it comes to retailers, we don't always discuss that either. But knowing what's happening in your industry and keeping up with the legal part, I mean, where do you get your information from? Like, what are the trade organizations, again, the good ones, doing for you to help you do your business better?
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and do some name dropping here. So obviously, you do a great job, Tobacco Business Magazine. So
yeah,
you
but
need
we're
to.
just a magazine. We're not a trade organization. So that's the problem.
Well, we should look at it like that, because there's good information out there. So you're talking like PCA and people like that? Is that
PCA and NATO and CAA and CRA? It's a list of.
So definitely you need to be connected with your industry when it comes to that. The CRA, the PCA, those people, and even with the ATF, you need to check those guys out to see what's going on, because even when this Tobacco 21 hit, people were shocked because they didn't know. But if you're a cigar shop owner or in the industry, you probably saw it coming. I told my guys and girls a long time ago, I said, listen, I'm pretty sure next year it's going to be 21. I know it's going to be up to states, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be 21. So those are the ones you need to keep up with, you know, as far, and PCA's got some great stuff out there. They're being really hands-on with the industry now, especially with the COVID-19. They've got information with the SBA loans and the PPP, you know, application forms. So they're getting more trendy with that, and I think we do need to follow them to see what's going on. They'll definitely be, you know, whether it's social media or their website. And, you know, when I first come in the morning, it's like my downtime. So I get a nice cup of coffee, I light up a cigar, and then I just start getting on the computer and I start looking at every one of these sites just to see if there's new information. I want to know what's going on so I can be better prepared. I don't like not being prepared. So I like to know what's going on. So definitely, like you said, PCA, CRA is good too. They're pretty, they've upped their game for sure. So, and the ATF, check out them. I mean, they're a little bit more slack, I think, on their website. Their social media is getting a little better though. And they've gotten better. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think all these trade organizations, even on the media side, we're finally starting to get a little bit caught up on the digital a little bit more. I know in the old school days, you would think of your magazine would come first, and then you would just have a website or you just throw stuff on every now and then. And now that's kind of being reversed, where it's like your website is coming first, and everything else is just feeding into the magazine. The magazine's almost like a touch point afterwards. So we have to get a lot better as an industry is using the internet for more than just posting random, you know, pictures, but informing people and staying connected, whether we have a pandemic going on or not, you know?
Well, it's true. It's absolutely true. And plus, if you've educated yourself and you're informing your consumers, they feel a little more safe as far as understanding what's going on too. Because if you just automatically hit them, hey, guess what? Our tobacco tax went up, and they're like, whoa, why'd this cigar go up to like, you know, $15 and it was like 12? I mean, there's a little preparation you can give them by keeping up with stuff in the industry. So I think you definitely have to be hands-on with that for sure. And they're getting good.
Yeah, I mean, because like you said, it's almost like the retailers have a much bigger role than we ever really give them credit for, because you all see the consumers, and the consumers are always, sometimes they're kind of the forgotten link in everything, because they're like the end of the chain, but they also are like, it's one big circle really. So they kind of feed everything, because without the consumers, we wouldn't have the retailers. Without the retailers, manufacturers wouldn't be able to do what they do. So we need all of this to kind of work together, which I think we kind of lose track of sometimes. You know, it becomes, you know, the manufacturers focus on the retailers getting that product in there, and then just moving on, or expanding that retail pool. And then, you know, the consumers are sitting there going like you said, they're saying like, what's new? And it's not necessarily what's new, it's just what have they not smoked yet? And then moving them maybe on to smoke something or another, you have to say, another cigar in the line that they haven't even tried yet. Like I was speaking to with the Perdomos the other day, you know. I mean, they were sitting in their humidor, which has like nothing but Perdomo, and it's like tons of different facings of their cigars. You know, can you say, even if you are a Perdomo fan, that you smoke through every different facing, and you know, and having the consumer understand that you get a different experience from different sizes of a cigar. I don't think they know that. So I don't think they think, you know, they just stick to what they like, or stick to what they bought, or stick to what introduced them to, what their grandfather introduced them to, what their friend introduced them to, and then they get stuck. They don't want to go beyond that. So you have to sometimes push them to go, you know, if you want a little bit more, if you want to explore the flavors, you know, Lancero or something like that. If you're short on time, then a shorter cigar, you know, just, you know, or even one of those the tins that are coming out. I don't think we think about that stuff. It's just moving people through the portfolio.
And you're absolutely right, and that was a great interview with the Perdomos, and they've got some really great product, and you know, you see them in a lot of humidors, and there's a reason they're in a lot of humidors. They're very consistent. Construction is good. They've come down to a good portfolio, and he even mentioned in that the thing is like it takes them 3 to 5 years to create a new brand or a new line. So, you know, kudos to them, because they're understanding the quality and understanding the whole thing as far as they have a large portfolio. Like you said, it's going to take you a while to go through and smoke all that stuff. And And that becomes part of the shop owners thing too, because say maybe you've got the 20th anniversary in there, right? So maybe the next round bring in the 12th or 12-year small batch and wing people on that. And it's really, like you said, you hit it right on the head, is to get the consumer to try other things in their portfolio. Because you're right, we keep going back for that one same stick we like, and it's, I can't do that. I like variety, so I'm a variety guy. I gotta smoke. When someone asks me what's your favorite cigar, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the
I
hardest
know.
question for me, man. I can't answer that. I can't, because
But I
it's
think it's because us younger people, we are not brand loyal.
right.
And that's not a bad thing. Like, we're
No,
willing to try something. If you put a cigar in our hand, we're not gonna say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and give it back and say, "We're not gonna smoke this." It's not
right,
my thing. I'm just this kind of brand person. We're
right,
usually will try a little bit of everything, and then we'll let you know from there, like, "Oh, that wasn't for me," but
right.
I tried it. And
Absolutely.
so I think companies have to kind of catch up with that and learn how to market. You know, you almost can't market the cigar, all your cigars, the same way. You almost have to
Right.
market it towards, figure out who's smoking it and market it. But that's a hard thing to do in this industry, because I don't know if we have that kind of data
I,
at
I,
hand.
we don't. I don't think retailers do. If you ask me, I can tell you off the top of my mind, but as far as like a spreadsheet and lay it out for you, I don't think I can do it. There's no way I'd be able to tell you that trend. So, but you're right. At least we're willing to try, and I encourage people to try. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I gave you that story like last week when we spoke on the phone. Is we had this steak place out here, and I went and got a filet steak, and they put this bacon jam on it, and I'm like, nah, don't don't put that on my steak. I just want a filet, man. And he's like, no, we need to try this. I was like, I said, okay, let's go for it. And came out, it was cooked perfect. They cooked it right, cut into it. It was savory, and I would never thought a sweet bacon on top of my filet would have went well, but it was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. So I was like, all right. So, that goes back to at least trying sometimes, You never know until you try. My dad's always said that too. So, try something.
Right. So when's the last time you tried something for the first time?
Mm, that's a good question too. Um, it's probably been a couple weeks, but it was a biscuit that had a gravy, a sausage, and I forgot what else was on it. It was something what I would never put on there, and I was like, it was funny is my dad actually got it to me, and I was like, all right. And I prefer a muffin, but the biscuit was okay, so it was okay. I tried it. My favorite.
But like you said, you tried it.
It was okay.
But
I
you tried
tried
it.
it. It was worth a try, and
Right.
I treat it right. So, I mean, what about you? When's the last time you tried something new?
Oh, well, it's this. This is what I'm doing now, because I'm so used to being behind the camera
Yeah.
and doing editorial, like writing and then putting it out. Like me, like talking to people. Usually,
Hmm.
I talk to people, but it's like behind the scenes.
Okay.
So this, doing it, and then thinking ahead. Like, how do I take the conversations
Hmm.
and make it so that they don't just happen here and after 24 hours they disappear. So
Right.
how do I capture this conversation? So I had to learn that part. And then how do
Okay.
I transfer so that anybody anywhere at some point could want to go and read it? So it's like learning in a very short period of time, in the span of the last quarantine weeks, how to edit video,
Oh
how to
man.
put it together, how to upload it to YouTube, how to create a YouTube channel, how to create a podcasting hosting site,
Right.
just
Oh.
all of that has just been a learning curve. But it's I always say that what spawned me to do it is just the art of conversation, because I felt like we're so used to texting, and I text people all the time. And I
Right.
know that even in the past, like when I text some people certain things, you can't pick up on my voice. So sometimes people take things very seriously, or they think I'm like I'm
Right.
like being very serious, and I'm not. And then other times I am being serious, and they just think, and
Right.
they go, LOL. I'm like, no, you
No,
don't
no,
understand.
I'm being serious.
So like learning how to talk to people and see and interact with them and look them in the eye. That's
Yeah.
that's been my quarantine exercise, and just getting a little bit more out there. So
Well, you're doing good at it, man. I think I was watching one of your deep cuts. I forgot who was with, and you're an introvert, right? So is that by nature, or you just kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like lots of artsy people,
Hmm.
like I tell people, like when I go into a meeting, usually there's somebody there who's going to talk the whole time, and I know it. And I'm the person who will sit there and listen the whole time. I'll only say one or two little things,
Yeah.
but then I can tell you word for word. I can like
No.
repeat, regurgitate that information.
Oh, no
So, because that's
kidding.
what I'm used to. So I'm not
Okay.
used to this, but it's I'm slowly getting out of that and learning to adapt. That's what I tell
Okay.
people. It's just learning to adapt,
That's it.
pivot
Hey,
and adapt.
it was true too. Is adapting, and two is I think if you can harness like those either whether it's butterflies or anxiousness, if you can learn to harness that into what you're doing, whether it's talking to somebody or working on something, I think that helps fuel the fire too. So I mean, I don't mind being in front of people. I can go up to people all the time. I don't mind being in front of the crowds, but I do get anxious and I get a little butterflies, and I'm like, all right, but I use that, and it's fun. I just like it.
But see, like when I saw you at TPE, like you were interacting, you were like working. I mean, we
Yeah,
were all in the little bar area
yeah.
after every day of the show. And I remember you and your dad were there, and you would just work that room, and you would have people there. You were like, "Oh, I gotta talk to this person. Gotta talk to this person." You would take your picture with that person. See me, I'm just like I'll sit down on the bar stool and like that's it. Like
Really? So you're like kind of sitting over there like, yeah,
yeah, and
I'll
I'll just
get to
like
you in a minute.
look, and I'm like, I wonder what they're saying and what they're talking about and stuff like that. But you were like working, like I said, you were just working that room. But I think that's what makes a good retailer too, because you have to be like you can't be an introvert and be
Oh, no,
a
no, no.
good retailer.
If you're sitting in the corner, people are like, who's that guy? What's he doing? Like,
Right, like that's the owner.
texting people. Why is he texting me right now? I don't know. I guess we're having a conversation. That is funny though. But it was cool. It was like, cause I think I went to the restroom and I came back, and I think my dad met you first. And he goes, "Oh, you gotta go talk to this guy." And I was like, "Okay." So then that's why I went over there and introduced myself. And I was like, I don't even know how we came up on the subject, because I think it was more of,
Well, you just
hey, make
introduced
sure.
yourself.
Okay, is that how it went down? Because I think when he told me, I couldn't remember what my dad said, but I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go talk to him. Oh, I gotta meet him." And then I realized everything, and then we got into a little conversation, and then I probably bounced around some more. Sorry if I cut you off or anything.
No, it was good.
But it was fun. It
Uh,
was great meeting you, man. It was
it
really
was
good. So
like I said, I meet a lot of people, but you kind of stood out. And I remember telling you because you asked, you said, "How can I get the story in the magazine?" And I was like, "Oh, you just have to." I was like, you talk to the right person. I'll just have to wait till the right time to do it." And you're like, "Oh, okay." And I think people say that like I'm one of those people who I think words are very important, and I don't think
they
a lot of
are.
people really think about it. So they just think carelessly, like they'll agree to something or they'll throw something out there, and then you follow up with it and say, "Hey, you remember when you said?" They're like, "I didn't really mean that." I was
It's
just
like,
like, so I
especially
try to
when you're in
do it a
Vegas,
little
there's a lot of
differently.
drinking.
Right. Yeah. So I try to be mindful of my work. So when I tell somebody like I'm going to do a story, like they go into my little mental bank, and then like when I'm
Yeah.
coming up with stories for the magazines, I'm like, okay, this is the time to do this story. So that's what it
Wow.
came up when we were wrapping up this issue that we're working on now, and we are getting to this next issue. I was like, oh, this is the time to do the Boss Cigar
Oh
story. I was
man,
like, this would be
thanks.
a good time to roll it out. So I'm looking
Very
forward
cool.
to getting that story in the magazine, because I
Me
think you have
too.
a good story. Like I said, it's a 2 hour conversation, so there's a lot of material there to work from.
There was. I think people asked me like, "Hey man, how'd that conversation go?" I was like, "Man, I think I was on the phone 3 hours or something, man. It was flowing good." Because I didn't know how it was gonna be. I didn't know if it was gonna be like this. All right, what's your favorite cigar? What do you like? I mean, it was just it flowed so well. So you're actually really good at that. The conversation went really well and enjoyed it a lot. So
Well, thank
you
you.
know,
Yeah, because we definitely went off script a little bit. Because I tell people when you when you're writing a magazine story, a lot of times it's very structured. So
right.
it's like these sets of questions, this sets of questions, this set, and we just go through it. And that's
Right.
usually the story. But with you, it was like I said, we went on so many different tangents that I was like, this guy's like really like thinking like a forward thinking person, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because so many retailers are just I think the younger generation is a little bit more willing to do things a little bit differently.
True.
you know, and some of the older ones are getting there, but they're a little bit slower because they're like, this is how we've always done it.
Right.
You know, if I do it this way, I'm going to upset this person, I'm going to upset this company. And
Right.
you know,
Right.
there's so many good ideas that just come from retailers just sharing their stories, but when do they get a chance to share that story? Really, they never do, not unless you're at a trade show and you're just kind of shooting a breeze at the bar.
And it's true. And that's typically, those are the times, and I think I mentioned that last time, you know, it's great to go to the trade shows, the PCA and the TPE. That was my first time. So it, like I told you, it was great to interact with everyone like yourself and people in the industry, because I don't get to do that on a daily basis. So for me, that was the great part for Boss Cigars. That's more beneficial than just, hey, we got these deals on ordering, which is nice too. Don't get me wrong. You know, it's fun to see what people are putting out, but it really, for my perspective, I don't get the one-on-ones and the, you know, get to meet you guys and talk with you guys all the time. So, you know, we get to maybe do this or something like that, but to actually be there, that was a really cool part for us. I mean, that's, you can't replace those times. So, you know, I think it's fun.
Now, if money was not an issue and you could do, somebody just came and said, I have a blank check, I'm going to write you, you could do anything you want to it, as long as it applies to your store, or your business, or what would you do with that money?
Ooh, man, that is a good question. So obviously I would go nuts with cigars, because this is what we do. We sell cigars, we provide cigars. I would have a larger humidor. We would have a larger humidor. I'm sorry, I'm not excluding Ann on that, but we would have a larger humidor, and we would have a vast variety of selection. I think that's where we would go with that. And we've done a good part up to that. But if money wasn't an issue, though, oh man, if this COVID-19 wasn't going on, I'd have a shop in Italy, just so I can be in Italy. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be a cool place. I've always wanted to go, and we're Italian, so that's a tough one, man. I don't know what I'd do with all that money. You know, definitely Italy though. And I'd put a substation off of that. You know, I'd probably build a brand. I don't want a lot of shops. I believe in honing in on one good one, and there's always something you can change or do with your shop. Everyone's like, well, if I did this shop, then I could franchise and go out and do all these other shops. It's like, wait a minute, you could really, I mean, obviously we're seeking perfection. We It's hard to achieve that, but you can really hone in and change things and get excited and move in the right direction to make your shop better. There's always something you can do no matter what. When the people get complacent and don't change and do something, that's where the problems kick in. So I think I would probably put a lot of that money away, and we would just constantly change our shop. There would always be something new or different in our shop. Maybe a 3-story cigar shop with an elevator.
That would be cool. I mean,
right?
You go to Miami and there's like a 3-story club. So why can't you have a 3-story, you know, cigar thing?
Yeah.
You have a different floor, different vibes, different floor, different products.
You know, maybe the first floor's got all your main brands, second floor is a boutique, and third is sacred stuff you've aged. I don't know. I mean, I'd probably do something crazy. I don't know. It'd be fun though. But I do like working for what we have too. So, but that is a tough question. What would you do with a blank check right now?
Oh man, if I had a blank check, I don't know. I think COVID not being an issue, I would travel.
Okay.
I mean, I was traveling before, but I would travel for myself.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to go to Australia until I learned how big the insects are, and now I'm kind of like rethinking. Yeah, now
can't do it.
That. You know, so maybe just somewhere overseas that doesn't have the humongous insects and stuff like that. You know, but it's funny because it's like right now I just don't. I get to these phases where there's nothing really that I want.
Okay.
So, but it's good to have it. It's like I go through these, you know, I spend my money when I want on vinyl records and stuff like that. And then I'm like, I think like my birthday time comes around, people are like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. Don't really need anything.
Right. Because you've already bought it, right?
Right. Exactly. And it's like that for Christmas too. I'll buy myself presents. So I'll just tell people, give me the money so I can pay myself. I can pay myself back. So
I use this credit card too much.
I was like, I'll buy myself what I want. You just give me that money, and I'll just like help myself feel better about what I was bought.
Right.
And I'll do
No,
that every time. Like, I'm the first person I buy my presents for. I'm like, oh, I want that. I want that. I want that.
that's cool though. My dad always asks me that every year. He's like, Christmas or birthdays, like, hey, what do you want? I was like, Dad, I think I got everything I want. And plus, I'm like you. I'm like, well, I'll just go
Mm-hmm.
buy it if I need it. And my dad's just one of these guys. He's always giving me tools, so it doesn't matter what happens. I'm getting a tool, and he always finds one I don't have. So, kudos to him for that. But I mean, it's tough because, like you said, when you want it and you're earning it, you go get it, right? I mean,
Exactly. Just
that's
like
what
get it. Just like buy it. I always think, I was like, what happens if I like deny myself this thing that I want? And then I die tomorrow. Then I would be like,
right?
I screwed myself out of that momentary of pleasure, just knowing it was in the mail coming.
Right.
For what? It's like, and I'm single, so I'm like, who am I gonna leave my money to? I'm probably gonna be one of these people who pisses people off because I'm gonna end up leaving my money to like charity. Like, I'm not gonna leave it to my brother or sister. I'm gonna be like, you all need to earn your own money.
Go do your own thing.
You don't need my money.
They're gonna be like, Anton, why?
Exactly. I'm gonna leave it to this charity and this charity. They need it more than you
right.
all. You all have your own things going on.
I think, hey, that's a cool cause, though. I mean, it's about giving back. Full circle of life, right? Karma.
Yeah.
I believe in it, so that's cool. I dig it.
It's the Marie. I call it the Marie Osmond approach because
okay.
I watch her on the talk every day, and that's how I practice my question asking, watching talk shows, of course.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Marie Osmond, they had this discussion like, what, like, who are you going to leave your money to, like, when you die? And, all her Osmond money that she's made over her years. And she said, oh, well, I'm not going to leave it to my kids. I'm going to give it to charity because they need it more. And they, like, dogged her in the press. They're like, man. Oh, she's so evil. And she was like, I'm not evil. She's like, they know. She's like, and if they don't know, then they know now. She's like, that's just how I am. She's like, they don't need that money.
Right. Find your own way kind of thing, right?
Yeah, she's like, she's like, yeah, they're not going to, like, gain anything from me just giving them something. And that's why I have that same mentality. I think you should work for what,
absolutely.
Work for it. Put the hard time in. Just don't, like, get it and then like, oh, I earned it. No, you need to, like, work for it.
You need to work
have
for
a story. You need to say, I remember I stayed up till 2:00 in the morning working on this thing to get this. So that's just my mentality. That's a whole tangent, but.
No, but seriously, that makes for great stories, though, and that goes along with anything. You put that hard work in, and there's some stories of struggle and success and non-success that I think it's great. I think it provides character for who we are because we're building character as we live our lives, and you should be creating your own story as we go. So, no, I dig it. That's cool, man. I'm not mad at you. Hey, I got a question. Do you have a home shop you go to?
A what?
Like a cigar
store
shop?
here?
Yeah.
The closest store that I would say that I would go to would be Havana Fields.
Okay.
So he's my guest tomorrow.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay.
So Phil is, like, great guy, young, has a completely different take on business. It kind of inherited the business from his father. A whole interesting story that we'll get into tomorrow, but
nice. Okay.
To me, like, that's like a local store, and there's a JR store nearby that, if I need something, it's in between me and him. The only thing is, like, with North Carolina, there aren't a lot of stores everywhere. They're a little bit of a journey outward
to get to them.
You really have to be a little bit dedicated and
to really want it.
Yeah, ready to be on the road for about like 40 or 50 minutes to.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's not like it's around the corner or anything like that.
Okay.
For a good selection, I should say. There's some local tobacco stores that just have that weird name, like tobacco store. There's no, like, brand.
Yeah, that's not where they say they got a walk-in humidor and there's, like, a little glass cabinet. You're like, no, that's not a walk-in humidor, man.
Yeah.
We actually got a guy at the street that's a tobacco shop, and it's like cigarettes and all that stuff. And on the window it says walk-in humidor. And literally when you walk in, you're like, where's this walk-in humidor at? And there's, like, a little glass section there. But yeah, it's not a walk-in humidor. I think he needs to change his word.
There's a store here in the city, but it's, like, right behind like Adam and Eve or some lingerie store, and it's just like some bad. It's really weird. I would never go there myself. Ooh. It's just like a really weird setup. But yeah,
Uh, if you had to pick a cigar that you really love right now to smoke, what would it be right now?
it would be one that has not officially come out yet, but
Oh,
it's coming. And so it's one that I'm telling people they need to put on their radar. And I rarely get out there and push a cigar like this. But
really?
so Avo is releasing a new a Maduro,
Huh? Is
and
that
I had a chance to have it back in February before all this stuff was going on,
mm-hmm.
and it's like an awesome cigar. Everybody at this event who smoked it, that was our favorite cigar of the night.
Really?
So it's like an Avo Maduro, and it's like coming out later on in 2020.
Okay.
So it's one that I would definitely put out there. Another
Okay.
one that's out now that I like is like kind of an oldie but a goodie. Is the T Connecticut
Oh,
by Matt Booth and Caldwell and AJ Fernandez.
great
That's
to know.
a really good one as well.
Absolutely.
I like those that don't like overpower your palate, like
Okay.
those that are nice and mild, and you can have a conversation without like getting strangled
Feel
and having
get a
that
little
ashtray,
cold
like, yeah.
like, ooh, this one's kicking my butt.
Yeah.
That's cool though. I tell people that all the time, you know, and plus you know this, is there's only one thing that makes a cigar good, and that's you liking it, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that's great. So the two customers, you know, it's funny, and the reason I was asking that because like I said, they asked me, and it's all over the board, you know, as far as what it is, and mine change every week. So, you know, if we can hone in on those consumers and figure out what their trends are too, that helps on the retailer side too, because at that point you can swing them in another direction too, and that helps with the boutiques. I feel definitely helps out with boutiques. But I'm always curious on what people are smoking, you know, for the time being, because it does
Yeah,
change.
I mean, we kind of get a pulse on that with our awards that we do every year, the
Hmm.
Tobacco Business Awards, especially this year because we open it up to a nomination period.
Hmm.
So people had a little bit more room to just nominate what cigars they like.
Right.
And, we're probably going to do that for the consumer side later on this year with Cigars and Leisure,
Nice. Yeah.
where it's Cigars and Leisure is definitely more consumer leaning. So where we open it up and say, hey, tell us what your favorite cigar right now is.
Okay.
You know, and let people kind of vote, and then get an idea of what cigars they're smoking right now, and let people vote on it like that for the Reader's Choice Awards. So we
Nice.
get a
Okay.
little bit of that. So like if you go on like Tobacco Business right now, and you just type in top 24 cigars into the
Hmm.
search thing, you'll come up with our list for this year, and that was basically what people were liking, and what they nominated, and what ended up in as our top 24. So,
Okay.
you
Cool.
know, it's the Perdomo, you know, barrel aged champagne. It's your Oliva Serie V Milanio, um,
Nice.
things like that. Arturo Fuente, Untold Story. So it's stuff like that. Some like oldies, but as you go on in the list, there's some new ones on there too.
Okay.
You know.
Hey, so a question to you is, how do you feel about the ratings of cigars?
I was going to ask you that. You know,
Oh,
we have 9 minutes left, so I can say
oh,
this about
okay.
it.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh,
Sorry.
I feel like they are. I have a problem with ratings just because I feel like they are so based on your own palate,
True.
and I know that certain magazines, I won't say who, claim that they are like, they just like take the cigar and they smoke it and they give it a whatever. Some of
Right.
that stuff I feel like is a little bit leaning towards advertisers, because if you look at the list, I mean, like you just said, there's a whole bunch of boutique companies out there,
Right.
and people that we know, like for example, like Tony Bellotto, La
Oh,
Barba,
good stuff.
great cigar,
Great stuff.
great guy. Has this cigar ever landed on a cigar aficionado list? No. Why
No.
not?
Right. So you're
Is it
like,
because he's not paying into the? Is
yeah.
he not paying into the atmosphere? I don't know. Is it because he hasn't sent them cigars to try? I have a hard time believing that. Is it, you
Right.
know, whatever? But it's like they you know, I think different magazines do it different ways. I think if
Right.
you do it, which we've been trying to figure out a way to do it for our magazines, that you have to make it so that people know how they're being rated,
Right. And
and
I think
open
you're
up
right.
that process and show you what and give some notes, you know, because a lot of the magazines you flip through and it's just like cigar, filler, wrapper, binder.
Binder, right.
Here's the grade, and you don't know, like,
There you go. You're like,
great. Yeah, you
all
don't
right.
know how you got there.
True.
I think that's a problem.
It is a problem. And two, I think, Nick said it with JR. He mentioned it. He said, listen, if all these cigars were so great in this one magazine, how come when they have all these other rating systems across the board, they're not rating them like that? So it's like, you know, I think if that cigar in at least the top 10 should be at least 4 of those cigars in the top 10 of those other ones at least, but they're not. It's all, you know, like it's a tough system, man. You just kind of have to, I don't know, make up your own mind on it. And I think a lot of people might think it's paid, and some are biased at certain ones. But I just was curious on your thoughts on it, because I like looking at all of them, and they all seem different on each category, like in each, you know, rating system, whether it's Cigar Journal, Aficionado, Half Wheel, and then you see some similarities. And those similarities, I tell my customers, like, hey, if you see that one and that one too, get it, try it, because
Right.
there's a reason it's
But
up there.
I think some of the reviews should be marked as like a personal review. Like if I did a
Right.
review, it would be marked as my. This is not like a this magazine review. This is not this magazine review. It's like Antoine's review. So
Right.
it could be a completely different experience. You might
Right.
smoke it and go, this is like not what I got. And I think
Right.
more should say it's a personal review. Like the only time I feel like it should be like a branded as a whole site or whole magazine review is if like 3 different people smoked it and you just average your grades together. And then you say,
Right.
well, this is like our review. But
Right.
you can't tell me that some bias doesn't seep in there, you know?
It's got to happen. It's got to happen.
Right.
Excuse me. It's got to happen. I mean, so, but I agree with you. And if it was Antoine's review, at that point, if they knew you liked a certain cigar and that's their flavor profile, then by all means they can go for it. So it should be based like that.
Yeah,
You know?
because I was like, trust me, I have more cigars than I probably ever need at this point, and I could easily do reviews almost like every day of the year and probably not run out. But it's just like I said, it's just like who. I mean, I know some people might care what I think, but it's like who cares? Like, you know, who cares what I think about know that cigar or this cigar? I'm one of those people. I just think you should go out there and try it, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, then don't buy it again. You know?
Amen. You should be a retailer, man. You just hit the retailer standpoint. That's it.
That's just it.
That's how it works. That's funny. That's great, man. One other question. Favorite movie?
Okay. My favorite movie?
Yeah.
I really have a thing for Top Gun, and I don't think a lot of people know. It's a really weird thing. Like when I was in college, Top Gun would be that movie that I would like when we were studying for exams. I had to watch Top Gun, and then I had to watch Grease for whatever reason. It was the weirdest combination. But I would watch Top Gun, and then like I mean, it's like the only movie that like makes me tear up for whatever reason. I have no idea. I must have like some hormonal moment, but it's like the only movie that I get some type of reaction out of me, like the whole like the goose thing and the beach volleyball stuff and the Iceman and just like it has a little bit of everything. How about you?
I'd say Goonies.
Okay.
Goonies is probably one of my top ones all time. It's always stuck with me. Anytime it's on, I'm watching Goonies, so I like the Goonies.
Well, we're at our last few minutes, so I want people to know how they can follow you, how they can follow Boss Cigars, how they can keep track of you like after this interview.
Okay, so we do have our website. It's bosscigarsllc.com. That's being redone. We're getting ready to redo a whole new thing on that. Obviously, we're Boss Cigars on Instagram and Boss Cigars. It might be 2014 on Facebook. That's just because the year we started, but definitely follow us. I'm still working on a phrase to get people to. I haven't thought of.
You're working on a pitch. I was going to ask you. I'm not going to do it today.
I'm working on it, and I'm honing in on one. I'm getting there, but I haven't forgot. I'm so on that thing so hard because you got me on a good question. So definitely follow us, check us out, and we'll try and keep up with all the new stuff and the fun stuff going on in the industry, and hopefully do stuff more like this with you and other people in the industry too, because this is a great platform.
You have a Twitter?
We do, and it's very we're bad on Twitter because that
You
maybe
just don't get a lot of traction on Twitter these days.
I
So it's like
don't.
one of those abandoned platforms where I go to read news. I
Okay.
can find something out. Somebody dies.
Yeah.
It's on Twitter before
Twitter. You're like, Twitter's got me. That's great. Oh, that's right.
Well, like I said, we have a cool story coming out on you. Not this
Thank
issue
you.
coming out, but for our summer issue.
Great.
So people can read all more. They're going to see a lot more of your story and going a little bit more in depth than this.
Great.
And I'm
That's
just
awesome.
looking forward to our next face-to-face encounter, whenever that is.
Hey, I look forward to a long-lasting relationship, friendship.
Yes, definitely.
I look forward to it. And thank you
You're a
again.
very cool, forward-thinking guy, and I definitely want to get more of your input and help give you a little bit of a platform to kind of tell your story.
Absolutely, that helps out big time because there's a lot of stuff we're getting ready to do. We're pretty excited, so we're just gonna move forward, man. And thank you for the opportunity. It's been great. I really like it.
Well, thank you. Like I said, look forward to speaking to you. I know we'll speak or we'll text and all that kind of stuff. So
Absolutely.
have a good day. Stay safe. Wash your hands.
Yep. Getting ready to go sanitize. You do the same, Antoine.
You too.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good one.
Thank you.
No problem.